All right, in this episode, we talk about the lead leg path
and how it can screw up your delivery.
All right, Brent Porcio, Stephen Godani here at Top Velocity, hashtag Pitch and Tip Show, where you go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Top Velocity, hashtag Pitch and Tip. You ask your question, we answer it on the show. If you haven't already, check out the Top Velocity for our 3X camps coming up. We got some big camps coming up for November, December, January, going into the new year. Also, I'll set up some up for spring break. Those guys that aren't playing as much this spring or taking the year off or whatever, want to come down and do some velocity training through and learn the program. Check that out, TopVelocity.net. And we're also, like I said, we're going to be at the ABCA convention in Nashville, January 7th through 10th. The King of the Hill booth, come and find us. We'll give you something really cool. We got a lot of stuff we'll be doing that'll be pretty cool as well. So what's the question for today? Manning D. Jr. asks, what's the optimal leg path and where should the lead leg be in relation to certain stages of one's delivery? Okay, so I've talked about the lift leg a little bit. You know, I've got two patterns, the flex pattern, the extended pattern. Actually, what episode did we talk about that in? I don't remember.
No.
But we talked about that in a few episodes back, maybe more. But as far as, let's talk about where it needs to be at certain stages in the delivery. It is important that the lead leg is passive, meaning it can't really be too aggressive. Typically, low velocity pitchers screw up with the lead legs and they make it very aggressive. For example, they'll lift and then it'll swing out really early. I want it to come as late as possible. I want it to kind of have its own late whipping effect into front foot strike. Kind of will support that hip rotation. If it gets out there early, I'm going to open early. I'm going to lose torsion, lose stability at the back leg and collapse. So following leg lift or coming into leg lift, I like to see guys leading with their hips or at least their momentum inside their drive leg. And that lift leg needs to kind of pull against that momentum. So as you're lifting and leading with your hips, the lift leg kind of pulls back. Even in a slide step, it's not that it's going to pull back in a slide step. It just needs to kind of hang out as you start to move. It's not trying to get out. Definitely don't want you kicking and reaching with the lift leg and staying as close as possible. So as you get to the point which typically after the front hip leads in 30 frames per second, about 12 frames, is around before the leg drive starts. And you're gonna see that's the moment the back leg wants to start to extend and wants to start to internally rotate. Before that happens, I still would like to see the lift leg in line with that front hip. It still hasn't broken out. It hasn't broken the front hip. So the point that you're ready to drive and you're loaded on that back leg, I want your lift leg still not breaking your front hip, ideally. And then at that point, as you drive, that's time to let your lift leg get out front and open, because it's gonna then go with the back leg drive and it's all gonna support hip rotation. So if it goes any time earlier than that, it's a problem. I know the old school up, down, and out is really not something that I feel even is important. You know, if you look at someone like Kershaw, he lifts up and puts back down. He's just a slide stepper to me. Okay, there's no need to really get the leg really far down again. It's just making sure that the leg isn't getting out early. I mean, if you see guys who like to extend their legs, they'll keep their legs up high, right? They'll keep them up high, and you know, kind of like Julio Urias, who I really like in AAA ball, one of the top prospects of the Dodgers. He keeps it up high. So I mean, there's no, as much as that, sometimes it looks nice and it makes it easier to keep it more passive when it goes back down to the ground. But to me, that's really not a coaching tip. I would rather coach strictly on the fact of the leg needs to be passive, and I don't want it to break the front hip before the leg drive occurs. So that's all I need to say, and I think that's gonna help you understanding where it needs to be at each phase. Go back and watch the previous episode on a flex pattern to an extended pattern to understand more how you can actually use it differently in just basically extending or flexing the leg. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, you got to think of it kind of as like, you want the lift leg, right? It's just controlling the hips. So like as you're going down, you want to get to your drive, and then don't be so concerned about what you're doing with the lift leg as being concerned that what it's going to do to your drive. So if it's messing up your drive to where you're like kicking out and it's throwing everything off, then like, yeah, that's not good. But I think everybody has their own pattern to the lift leg, like he's saying, with the extended and with the flex knee and stuff like that. But then even looking at Kershaw, like Kershaw even kicks his leg out really hard, but he maintains really good torsion, so it doesn't really affect his drive that much. So I think everybody's like different in the way they go about it, but just the biggest thing about the lift leg is just make sure that it's just not affecting your drive and that you can still land with a good front leg and stabilize it to create velocity.
I think that's a great point. I mean, that really should be, and that's what I mean by passive, is the lift leg, you do not want it to disrupt what the back leg is trying to do. And the back leg is really what's building your stride, it's building the momentum in your stride, and then the front leg is there to stabilize. And like I talked about in some episodes past, is because the timing that the front leg has to stabilizing the body at front foot and then to even extend before pitch releases is less than 0.18 seconds. It doesn't have a lot of time, that it needs to be pre-activated. So it actually needs to be hanging out with a little contraction in those muscles that are going to help stop it. Glute, calf, quad, those muscles actually have to start pre-activating before you get the front foot. And if you're there kicking your leg out, you're actually doing the opposite. You're activating the antagonist muscles that are going to not allow it to really pre-activate to get a better front leg to stabilize and extend. So give it one roll. Like I tell guys, give the lift leg one roll. The one roll is just wait till front foot strike. Let the back leg do all the work till then, build the stride, build the momentum, and the front leg is just waiting to stop, stabilize, and extend, which is so critical to velocity. So if you give it 2 rolls, I want you to kick out, then stop and extend. It's just too impossible. It's not going to be effective. And like I said, the front leg stability and extension is so highly linked to ball speed that if you're giving it the 2 rolls, you're making it swing out and kick out, and it's affecting its most important role, which is the stability and extension of it. It's killing your ball speed, and I see that so many times. So, like Steven said, make sure that it doesn't disrupt what your back leg's doing, and also make sure it's ready for its most important role, which is front leg stabilization and extension before pitch release. So that's a good question. If you have another question, go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at TopVelocity, hashtag pitch tip, ask your question, we answer it on the show. Check out TopVelocity.net for more information. Check out my pitching articles. I have a ton of science in those pitching articles that I've been doing for years that'll really, really, really help you understand more of what we're doing. I suggest you go there. And like I said, we'll see you at the ABCA convention. Come down to 3X Velocity Camp. See you next time.
Yeah. Hold on.